It is the 7th day of March 2021. Welcome to the UBC Lunchtime News, the weekly roundup edition, the bulletin that brings you those top stories that made news within the week. My name is Wadulo Arnold, and without further ado, let's get straight into the bulletin. Now, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni this week promised that government will either revise or drop charges against persons arrested by security agencies during and after the recent elections. Museveni was officiating the 2021 Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue Summit at Kololo Independence Grounds, and these were the details.
The 2021 Third Ordinary Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue Summit has this Friday convened at Kololo Independence Grounds with President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as the chief guest.
As Executive Secretary of my board, Your Excellency and distinguished leaders, I have over the last 3 years had the privilege to witness the possibilities and the potential of dialogue.
Because NRM has been founded on dialogue and interacting with people, this is the foundation on which NRM has been able to keep the country together for over 35 years. Because of this, therefore, we still believe and have hope.
Party presidents from NRM, Democratic Party and Uganda People's Congress honored the high-level IPOD meeting that brings together party leaders with MPs in Parliament. After a 3-hour closed meeting, the IPOD Council chairperson, who also serves as the NRM Secretary General, Justin Kasule Lumumba, addressed the summit and said the current security situation in the country dominated the closed summit.
In the discussion, when we got there, the agenda was amended to have a brief by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on the security situation in this country. And he gave a detailed report. It wasn't actually brief, it was a detailed report from his head with names. I want the members of the IPOD Summit to really clap for him and thank him.
The summit also endorsed the multi-stakeholders dialogue on politics.
The IPOD Summit, under the chair of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is also the chairperson of NRM, they have agreed on the principle and adopted the principle to have the multi-stakeholder national dialogue on political issues.
The Democratic Party President, Norbert Mao, who claims to have proposed the dialogue, led the DP delegation to the summit.
We should be focusing on resurrecting businesses that are being crippled by Corona, dealing with the challenges that we face as a nation. So we must build as much consensus as possible around the politics so that all our energies are focused on dealing with the problems we face. To those who may want to burn down the bridge, I say all the bridges that you burn may come back to haunt you. Uganda's history is a testimony of that. All those who burnt bridges in the 60s have lived to regret their burning of political bridges.
Uganda People's Congress Party was represented by its president, Jimmy Akena.
And therefore, every effort which allows us to come together to meet the challenges and to discuss for common destiny of Uganda, as UPC, we shall always be on board.
The summit chairman, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, rounded up the summit addresses.
We have no problem at all engaging in dialogue with anybody in Uganda about our diagnosis and prescription. We are always ready to explain and also listen to the explanation of others.
Museveni recalled that it is through failure to appreciate such engagements that the past governments fell apart.
We tried in the UNLF, people thought they could get their own way. This is always, I don't know, it is like a dogo, like a witchcraft. What my daughter Kasule Lumumba said, I always say, please, if God has given you power to speak and to hear, use it, please. Because you can go to hospital, you find somebody looking at you, he wants to talk, but he can't talk. because he was hit by a stroke. So here you are, Yoweri Museveni, like I am now. I am able to talk and to see and to hear, and I don't use those gifts because I'm too proud, I'm too what?
The president reassured Ugandans that an amicable solution will be forged to address the current outcry and fate of the purported missing persons.
I have agreed with the presidents of the parties that apart from the 51 who will be released unconditionally and also to settle, because they have helped us to know more about the scheme of these miscalculators. There are others who are arrested and even taken to court martial, this one here and there. I will ask the DPP to review each case and recommend soft landing for many of them, because many of them are really misled.
The summit was initially supposed to be attended by 5 political party presidents, and thus from the NRM, DP, UPC, FDC and JEMA, but only NRM, UPC and Democratic Party fully participated. Robert Onyango reporting for UBC News.
In more news from this week, the Ministry of Health received 864,000 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine shipped via the COVAX facility. Now, the doses were received by the Health Minister, Dr. Jane Ruth-Acheng, who was accompanied by the World Health Organization country representative, members of the diplomatic corps, and officials from the Ministry of Health.
Uganda's AstraZeneca vaccines manufactured by Serum Institute, India, have been received at Entebbe International Airport. The vaccines against COVID-19 were flown in aboard the Fly Emirates Boeing 777-300 extended range aircraft from India. Health Minister Dr. Jane Ruth-Acheng, flanked by the World Health Organization country representative, Minister of Health officials, and members of the diplomatic corps, were in place to officially receive the vaccines. The COVAX facility has allocated 3,552,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine to Uganda.
Although it is only 2% of Uganda's current need, that this 864,000 doses we received today, it is the first step to protect the most at risk and crucial part of our population.
Uganda targets to inoculate 49.6% of the population in a phased manner, and each phase is planned to cover 20% of the population.
Uganda is fully prepared to launch and start utilizing the vaccines starting on the 10th of March 2021. We will use our tested strength of decentralized health services to deliver the vaccines to the target populations in a record time.
The first phase of the free vaccination will target health workers in public and private facilities, security personnel, teachers, persons aged 50 years and above, and those with underlying health conditions. The UNICEF representative in Uganda revealed that the arrival of this batch marks an important milestone for Uganda in the fight against the deadly virus.
With the vaccines arriving today, we do expect that the change is going to happen. The return to a new normal that would allow the economy to flourish again.
Members from the diplomatic corps who were present at this receiving ceremony also promised unrelenting support to ensure equitable access of the vaccines across the region.
The firm belief in this principle that the UK was one of the first to back the COVAX facility, because we want a global solution to this global pandemic. And thanks to a huge international effort from all these people that you see around you, that I'm really pleased to say that the UK and the rest of the world is now starting to move towards the end of this pandemic.
So far, Team Europe has provided more than 2.2 billion euros, or nearly 10 trillion Uganda shillings, in commitments to secure equitable access for all countries to ensure that everyone who needs a vaccine gets it anywhere in the world.
The quick spread of this horrible disease from country to country showed how interconnected we all are. And the strong presence here today from the Ugandan government and the international community reinforces that a global challenge like COVID-19 requires a global response. That is why we're here today in a spirit of cooperation, working together with Uganda and international partners.
COVAX is a COVID-19 vaccine global access initiative launched by the World Health Organization to ensure vaccine access to the world's most vulnerable.
After close to a year of disruptions ushered in by the COVID-19 pandemic, many countries are now looking at total annihilation of the virus, and the rolling out of vaccines across the world heralds a return to normal. Samuel Senono, UBC News, Entebbe International Airport.
Now, government this week commenced a training exercise for experts who will administer the COVID-19 vaccine at various vaccination centers. Minister for Information, Communications Technology and National Guidance, Judith Nabakova, says that health workers and teachers will be the first category to receive the vaccine. She was addressing the media on the recent cabinet decisions regarding COVID-19 vaccines.
It is not news anymore that COVID-19 is still a challenge, not just to Uganda, but to the world. What is news is that all nations across the world are working tooth and nail to find preventive measures. Uganda is not exceptional, with the vaccine doses already secured for that purpose.
Vaccination will begin on 10th of March 2021, following national launch that will be held on the 8th March 2021, and then subsequent distribution to all districts in Uganda. Uganda targets to vaccinate 49.6% of the population, of which about 21,936 people in a phased manner.
According to a recent cabinet sitting, it was recommended that health workers and teachers, among other persons, received the vaccine first.
All health workers from public, private, not-for-profit, and private health facilities will be the first group to receive the vaccine. The second group will be the teachers, because it is extremely important that this category is vaccinated as we prepare to reopen for the schools and also the children to begin school. The third group will be persons above 50 years of age.
This emphasis follows cabinet observation of a decline in the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Uganda. To be eligible for vaccination, one will be required to produce a national identification card for Ugandans and a passport for foreigners.
Government health centers, 3, 4, district hospitals, regional referral hospitals, national referral hospitals, and specialized institutions have been designated as vaccination service units in each of the districts or city. All vaccinated persons will receive a vaccination card and will be required to present the card for the second dose.
For now, it is all awareness creation embarked on by the Ministry of Health and district COVID-19 task forces to sensitize the public on the vaccination exercise. Henry Okurut, UBC.
In another related matter, civil society organizations have this weekend dragged government to courts of law over its recently announced strategy on COVID-19 vaccination. Now, frontlining the fact that acquisition of the national identification cards has remained a protracted process. A huge number of Ugandans have no national identification numbers, and as such, they are prone to missing out on this life-saving exercise. Now, led by Initiative for Social and Economic Rights, civil society organizations want court to halt the vaccination requirements since preconditioning the enjoyment of basic rights is unlawful. National Identification and Registration Authority statistics indicate that about 6.5 million Ugandans have neither national identification numbers nor national identification cards.
ask the court to intervene on this requirement to have a national ID before receiving COVID-19 vaccines. We know that millions of Ugandans will be excluded if this continues. According to the data by NIRA, there are millions of Ugandans that are yet to receive a national ID. We know that the process to take a national ID takes a really long time. As you're aware, it became an issue in Parliament last year and the year before, around how long it took. This also sets a very dangerous precedent. Today it is, you need to get a vaccine urgently. The next thing you hear, you've been knocked by the road, you have to be rushed to hospital. God help you if you don't have a national ID. No one will attend to you. These are issues that pertain to life, fundamental human rights, the right to life, the right to health. This is not the time to create new obstacles. Fix your issues, make sure all Ugandans are on, then you can then begin to think about how it can pertain to rights like health. But until you do so, all Ugandans must be able to get a vaccine. It's a public good. Ugandans are paying.
Chadondo East Legislator KYAGULANYI Sentamu Robert this week allowed Uganda Revenue Authority to re-examine his Toyota Land Cruiser V8 with one condition, that it will be done at his home and in his presence. KYAGULANYI, in filing this application, is challenging Uganda Revenue Authority decision of recalling his new vehicle for a tax verification process at their offices. However, Uganda Revenue Authority has asked court to dismiss this application, saying that it is premature before court and was misconceived by the applicant. The case was before Judge Emmanuel Baguma, who adjourned the matter to 6th March 2021.
Looking at where it can be done.
Where it can be done. At the same time, thereafter we make payments in accordance to the 30 days that was stated in that affidavit. Of course, court had fixed both applications for today. The first one was for the interim and the second one was for temporary. And with the guidance of court, we found it relevant that we withdraw the one for interim. And today we proceeded with the one for temporary. And yes, the temporary has been had partly through giving of directions. But before we came to court today, by around 2:50 something, court or URA served us with their reply. And in their reply, they stated very well that they are willing to conduct assessment with and in the presence of our client, which was not their case before. Two, they also informed us through their affidavit that they still have 30 days to respond to the letter which we wrote to them, which was very okay, always very okay with us. Upon getting the affidavit in reply, we contacted our client, and our client was in agreement with them. One, our client was in agreement with making assessment in the presence of him and with his servants or even the lawyers, especially at the premises where the car is, which is at his home in Mangere or Magere. Two, we are willing to make payments as long as the assessment is right and correct. But if the assessment is not right and correct, we shall by all means challenge it. Why? Because that is the reason why we came to court. On the issue of the 30 days, of course, I addressed the court concerning the same, that if URA is willing or they still have some good time to respond to our letter, let us enter into an interim for those 30 days. Meaning within the 30 days from now, they cannot do anything. And the beauty is within those 30 days, that's when we shall be hearing or we shall be getting a ruling from court.
Women in various sectors of the economy have been lauded for their important role that they have played throughout the pandemic. The ICT and National Guidance Minister Judith Nabakova says women in Uganda have demonstrated strength of character and resilience, which has in turn boosted Uganda's efforts in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's take a look at what she said.
UNEB exams will continue as planned this Monday, 8th March, despite the day being a gazetted public holiday marked as Women's Day. The Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Judith Nabakova, says all schools where exams are being conducted are expected to maintain an examination atmosphere.
I therefore call upon all responsible officers and candidates to remain focused to the existing program because exams are continuing. We should not forget that COVID-19 is still here with us. All schools and candidates are reminded to stick to the agreed program, but also the standard operating procedures that were put in place to ensure safety of everyone.
Women's Day celebrations held annually recognizes challenges women have encountered in their emancipation struggle, their resilience and strength in character. This year's celebration is being held under the theme Building on Women's Strength for Better Future in a COVID-19 World.
Women have provided leadership at all levels, from national to the household level. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, women have set up a determined effort to ensure that people under their care remained safe and healthy. We all remember the images of women in the markets and makeshift restaurants during the lockdown time.
Due to the danger of mass gatherings in the fight against coronavirus, this year's national event will be held at State House in Entebbe and presided over by President Yoweri Museveni. Nabakova says women in Uganda continue to grapple with negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, and key amongst them being increased domestic violence and a slow recovery of the informal sector, in which women participation is close to 90%.
It is also this sector that was most hit by the COVID-19 effect. However, despite all these challenges, women have continued to demonstrate resilience and strength in character. As we celebrate the Women's Day, Government of Uganda is going to tap into this unique power of women. We shall focus on women to empower them more. We are going to focus on supporting the informal sector, especially the sectors that were hit most.
Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Now, Acholi Sub-Region MPs have thrown their weight behind the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Jacob OULANYAH, and his quest to assume full position of the Speakership of Parliament. Now, OULANYAH, who has been at his current position since 2011, has expressed interest in the top job currently being occupied by Rebecca Kadaga Alitwala.
The Acholi Parliamentary Group Chairperson, Ojara Philip Poli Okini, led the group of 10 recently elected members of Parliament to a press briefing expressing their support for the current Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Jacob OULANYAH, to take over the Speakership of Parliament.
Honorable Jacob OULANYAH, he is amazingly qualified for this position. And then when you look at the conduct since he was Deputy Speaker, he has been able to conduct himself in the right way. I mean, he has been able to do whatever it takes to make sure the Parliament is actually run effectively. So this endorsement does not come because of him being an Acholi. The endorsement is coming because he's actually the right person for the job.
The Laropeche MP-elect, Reverend Father Onen Charles, says OULANYAH has been on the waiting wing for long, and this is the right time for him to take the mantle of speakership.
For the NRM government or system or movement to give space for young generation. For the young ones and the new members, we feel scared that the old cadres of the NRM are not ready to give space to the young generation.
Acholi Sub-Region has 18 new legislatures.
There are those who think that
because the Chief Justice comes from the north, being the head of the judiciary, and so the Speaker should not come from the north. I think that is a very serious level of dishonesty. That kind of reasoning lacks objectivity. Because if we are to look back, for you who read a lot, this is not the first time Uganda is electing a speaker. Some years back, there was a speaker from Eastern Uganda. The Chief Justice at the same time was also from Eastern Uganda. That was the time of Wapakabulu.
The Noya woman member of parliament elect, Achan Judith Peace, is the secretary of the group. She thinks it's time for the North to shine. She is against secretarian line of campaigns for the speakership.
The message that we give to people matters a lot. When we take, per se, this speakership race, I see a lot trading on social media, sectarian politics. To me, I don't buy it so much because in the Bible, we are all created in God's image.
While her counterpart from Pader, Achiro Paskamenya, called on Ugandans to trust in God to deliver a suitable speaker.
I believe that it is God to take part in this. We as the people, we only confirm.
Ojara Philip Poli Okin, who is from the FDC party and represents the people of Chwa West in Kitgum district, says they have already sought for the blessings of their cultural leaders. He says the members of parliament who are re-elected will also give their endorsement during a planned function in the near future. Tony Awanyi, who has been an ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, says the Acholi Keri Kal Kwaro Cultural Institution has implored them to solve the leadership crisis facing the region.
Right Honorable Jacob OULANYAH accepted the President's call to step down for his sister, Right Honorable Kadaga. I think that was a very good gesture. It was a good gesture, and it was premised on some promises that Right Honorable Speaker OULANYAH would, in the subsequent term of Parliament, become the Speaker.
Achol sub-region consists of 8 districts of Gulu, Noya, Amur, Lamo, Kitgum, Agago, Pader, and Omoro district, where the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Jacob OULANYAH, is the re-elected Member of Parliament for Omoro County.
Now more from this week. Drama ensued at All Saints Cathedral, Nakasero this week when relatives to the late city lawyer Bob Kasango fought for his body after the Requiem Mass. According to our sources, the deceased's family and that of his wife had some wrangle regarding where Kasango's body would be laid to rest. Bob Kasango died over the weekend at Luzira Government Prison while serving a sentence of 16 years on charges of corruption, fraud and forgery, among other charges.
At 9:30 a.m., the board of a city lawyer, Bob Kasango, who made his last breath at Luzira Government Prison over the weekend, was laid at All Saints Cathedral, situated in Nakasero for farewell service. Reverend Rebecca Nyegenye led the service. In preaching, Reverend Nyegenye called for peace between the relatives of the late Bob Kasango and preached the word of love to each other.
There is no sustainable peace. There is no job that is going to give you peace. The higher you go, you get a lot of engagements that you wish to get out of that office again. Can we be able to ask God to give us peace in our hearts?
Kasango's farewell service attracted people from different fraternities. Naisi Bitarabeho Kasango, the wife to late Bob Kasango, narrated on his husband's life and how he got the heart problem in 2014. Bitarabeho Kasango, however, accused prison and judiciary for failure to grant his husband leave to attain good medication outside Uganda.
Last year, Bob felt so sick he couldn't talk, he couldn't walk, and was admitted in the hospital for 2 months in Machongo. And this very same doctor who a year before said that the allegations of needing oxygen are false. Now this very same doctor a year later says, yes, he has a heart condition, it's life-threatening, but the Uganda Prison Service does not have the capacity to handle this case.
Children to late Bob Kasango decried the hard times they have gone through ever since their father was arrested and sentenced to Ruzira.
Challenges that were presented before her, but she decided to remain in her lot.
Lawyers who managed to attend the service, represented by Counsel Joseph Chiriowa Chiwanuka, have commended the works the deceased did while serving as a lawyer.
Bob was a very good man, a good heart. Arnold has spoken about social media since Bob's passing. Have not posted a single thing because people speak of a person that they don't know. The case that he had, you don't understand it.
However, after service, there was a scuffle between Bob Kasango's family and the wife's family to where the deceased should be buried.
He's my son! He's my son!
During the scuffle, Kasango's relatives managed to take the body from the funeral service car and immediately left the place.
Kasango has never been a Mutoro! Has never been a Mutoro! He's a job, he has a home, he has father. He has a father, how can we marry him at his in-laws? We have to take him back to his ancestral home.
The family to let Bob Kasango's wife and the funeral service were left empty-handed, planning to what to do next.
We can assure you that it's going to be sorted out immediately. Yeah. It's under control.
According to our sources, those who took the body were arrested on their way to Tororo, around Namugongo. A city lawyer, Bob Kasango, died of a heart failure in Luzira government prison after being convicted on charges of corruption, fraud, forgery among other offences by Anti-Corruption Court before Justice Margaret Tebulia. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Makerere University School of Nutrition and Biosystems Engineering, in partnership with Badaye Pineapple Farmers of Kagulumira and the Ministry of Energy, have made a hybrid sensor-controlled dual heat source solar dryer to ensure that consistent drying of fruits in large volumes is sustained. Now, the solar technology prototype can dry mangoes, pineapples, jackfruits, bananas, coffee, berries and vegetables, and is already tested by pineapple farmers in Kagulumira Sub-County, Kayunga District, with success.
This is a biomass burner, and the purpose of the biomass burner is to provide alternative heat when the day is cloudy and there's no enough solar insulation.
Small-scale farmers in Uganda produce a variety of fruits, including mangoes, pineapples, passion fruit, pawpaws, bananas, avocado, jackfruit, and vegetables, among others. However, the value that small-scale farmers derive from these crops is limited due to post-harvest losses, seasonal production, limited value addition, and market access problems.
Kitongole kya Makerere University bwe kimala okutubanya nti gye tuli kyatwala omutawaano okugenda mu gavumenti ya Uganda okusabayo enkola eno kisobole okutuyamba. Tuli beetaavu nnyo ba dryer zino tuyina emu naye tesobola tulina dryer neziwera 10 naye tulina wage emu tesobola kukaza bintu kusobola kutuuka katali ng'ate obutale bwe tuzze tufuna butulaga ntuteeka okuba ne capacity nnene yetukaza tuloka tusobola okutuuka katale akalungi.
This has prompted Makerere University School of Nutrition and Bioengineering under Makerere Research and Innovation Fund to make a modern hybrid solar dryer technology that dries fruits.
Air comes in from here. This is a suction fan. It travels through the distance of the pipe coils, and then it is vented inside the dryer. Inside the dryer there is a lateral pipe with 4 outlets. So heat is oozing out into the dryer in 4 outlets. And when it reaches the dryer, it is picked up by fans that help distributing the heat and thus affecting even drying.
The principal investigator, Associate Professor Ahmad Azua, says the main features of hybrid solar dryer technology are that it is powered by 2 energy sources, including solar radiation and biomass heat energy.
But then many of them usually have a challenge that, they have no control mechanisms to regulate the drying temperature. So sometimes you end up having products that really lose the nutritional quality because they have either been over-dried or under-dried.
Drying by hybrid solar energy technology is very fast system and associated with lower product moisture content and better inhibition of microbial growth during the drying process.
The project that I have in my hands, it is a sensitive moisture meter. It's a food grade moisture meter, and what it does, it helps the farmer to monitor the dryness of the fruit by telling the amount of residual moisture that is within the drying food, because it is not good to under dry or over dry the fruit as the quality and sensory properties may change.
Associate Professor Ahmad Azua says the previous studies on hybrid solar dryer technology have shown a high retention of product quality as compared to other conventional drying methods, including spray and freeze drying methods.
For you to have an assured market for especially dried products, you have to first of all assure quality. And of course, in the kind of sensor control mechanism that we have integrated, you are assured of producing a product of consistent quality. In other words, what you produce today will be the same that you produce another day, even if you dry on different days. At the end of the day, since everything is being controlled by a mechanism, you can assure your customers that your product are within the same range of nutritional quality, which wasn't possible.
Badaye pineapple farmers in Kangulumira have hailed government and Makerere University for the initiative that will enhance value addition.
Nga bwezimbiddwa tulimu essuubi ejja kukola emyaka 5-10. Kibeera kyayo kijja kudduka n'obuwangaazi bwa angolayini ezigikoze.
Tusaba gavumenti etwongeremu ku buwagizi. Tusobole okuva we tuli tweyongereko mu maaso. Tusobole okugula ekifo twongereko kubanga tuli wafonda kati tufunze.
After being dried, they have a longer shelf life. That means our farmers can what would have been excess where they would have lost, they can save it, protect it, and sell it at a later time when they have higher prices.
This project seeks to explore the utilization of a hybrid sensor-controlled solar dryer in production of high-value products from mangoes, pineapples, jackfruits, carrots, coffee, vegetables, and herbs. The university is now calling upon farmers, especially those dealing in fruits, to embrace this technology since it's available on the market. The hybrid sensor-controlled dual heat source solar technology has the potential of making a much greater impact by creating products with extended shelf life and high quality. Once the technology is adopted, it will help farmers in the country to earn big all the seasons. Mutonyi Hilda, UBC. Mutonyi Hilda and Joseph Buule.
The woman member of parliament, elect Bugweri district, Rachel Magola, has advised women to focus on developing their families through working smart in the wake of COVID-19. Now, Rachel Magola has also wished all Ugandans a happy Women's Day, as these details share with us.
The COVID era has shocked everyone out of the slumber. Because for the first time, people woke up in the morning and they can't go anywhere to find money to feed the family. Uganda, as a culture, we don't save. We don't save. And yet, we've been taught in school, we've been taught in schools, we've been taught you need to put at least 30% of your income on saving. That's you put away first. And then 10% on, you divide, you manage your money in a way that takes care of emergencies. But of course, the COVID-19 was an emergency of unbelievable, what can I say, magnitude. So now what do? We have learned a huge lesson. So we're going to have to start again. We're starting from zero. And if you reach this far, the only way is up. To work harder, to save, to plan our money better, to use our money on things we really need not the things we want. A lot of women have lost source of income. And I hope that all these stimulus packages we are hearing of will benefit these women in their communities. I am praying that schools, especially private schools, will be supported with the money that is coming in as a COVID relief fund.
Words of Rachel Magola. I remember growing up to her music, Obangaina. But anyhow, she has some wise words to say, meaning that we have land, so that means most of the people that she's leading are going to have to go back to zero to start to bring their families up, especially the women, knowing that tomorrow is Women's Day. Let's take a short break. When we return, we'll be back with business.
Enjoy great value from Airtel with the all-new My Pakalast combo offers. We have customized especially for you the best deals on minutes, data, and SMS with our 3-in-1 My Pakalast combo to give you the best value as you stay in touch with friends and family. To activate My Pakalast voice combo, dial *100 *2 *1 hash to get started.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Uganda's ICT sector is considered one of the most vibrant and fastest growing within the East African region, with a growth rate of 27%, supporting other sectors such as the media, tourism, agriculture, health, among others. It is also a sector with several investment opportunities you need to take advantage of. But what is the government of Uganda doing to enable you benefit from these opportunities? This Monday, the 8th of March 2021 at 10 p.m., join Irene Sewankampo, Acting Executive Director, Uganda Communications Commission UCC, Dr. Hatwib Mugasa, Executive Director, National Information Technology Authority Uganda NITA-U, Honorable Vincent Bajire Waiswa, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, and Mrs. Elizabeth Ntege, Chairperson ICT Association of Uganda, under the theme Insights and Prospects of the ICT Sector, moderated by Mildred Tuhaise. Join the conversation via hashtag SpotlightUG. SpotlightUG, Mondays at 10 p.m. live on UBC TV.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Lunchtime News Weekly Roundup edition with me, Wadulo Mark. Arnold, we're streaming live from Broadcast House and also on Facebook and YouTube under the name tag UBC TV Uganda. We're now taking you to the world of business from the week. The women, pre-primary teachers rather, are now engaging in other business ventures because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has taken a toll on their profession. Now many are venturing into cake baking business and seem to be taking on the skills seriously. Let's take a look.
The COVID-19 pandemic has had far-reaching negative impacts on individual businesses, and people have been affected differently. The most hit are the teachers, especially for pre-primary, since they are not sure of when their services will be required by school proprietors. Many teachers are now venturing into cake-making business in order to earn a living, and they are undergoing training to acquire more skills.
Professionally, a kindergarten teacher. So what has really inspired me to come here to learn more about baking, because I can't just sit home to wait when the schools will be open. So, and the other thing that has inspired me is I've been baking, but I've been giving out that job of designing what.
You see, so it's a quite a huge field in which we really want to go more and more, and these people are giving us a recipe which are very easy, and they have made things very simple when we are.
Agaba Edgar, a graduate in art and design, has a well-established cake business, Aga Creations, and is hoping to train these teachers to make different cake designs depending on the occasion.
Bakers. So we realize that we have so enough to give to others, and even as we give them, as we gain more skills, as we share with other bakers. So we had to call different bakers from different bakeries and upcoming bakers so that we can train them in cake decoration. According to Agaba, the cake baking industry has many business opportunities and can help to empower women economically. Because baking is easy. It's a matter of capturing the procedures of how to bake, capturing ingredients, because it is a kitchen work. And another thing is for the case of the ladies who are at home, especially you can do home baking. You can learn how to bake cakes, you learn how to design cakes, you do, especially you can get market from friends. It is important for one to learn and acquire survival skills in case of an interruption or loss of a job. Adiana Kute, UBC.
More news from the week. Fish dealers now have a new and modern technology of smoking fish using kiln developed by Agricultural Engineering and Appropriate Technology Center, one of the National Agricultural Research Institute. Now, the Minister of State for Fisheries, Helen Adoa, launched the technology and emphasized that it will increase fish exports as well as foreign exchange earnings. These are the details.
Agriculture Engineering and Appropriate Technology Center, one of National Agricultural Research Institutes, is the brain behind this fish drying kiln. The fish smoking kiln does not require a lot of labor since the fish can be left to dry after setting the required heat.
From here, the smoke generating unit, when it generates the smoke, that smoke is filtered to remove those carcinogens from the smoke. Then after filtering the smoke, it goes through this pipe. Now the filtered smoke, the safe smoke goes through this pipe, then it enters inside the dehydration chamber. So in the dehydration chamber it goes through these pipes, then it is imparted onto the product.
The Minister of State for Fisheries, Helen Adoa, launched the modern fish smoking facility at the Agricultural Engineering and Appropriate Technology Center in Wakiso. Minister Adoa is optimistic that this fish smoking technology will increase fish exports, especially to the European Union markets.
So this is going to attract us international market, and also within our own environment or our own within Uganda, you find that you can be able to preserve fish. Because, you know, even Ugandans themselves should not be able to eat smelly fish. Where you smoke, within a short time you have removed, is not dry, is not taking 3 days, 4 days, a week, 2 weeks.
The cost for this machine goes up to 50 million Uganda shillings, and fish dealers have been encouraged to form circles to maximize the economies of scale.
A circle, like the ones who have received it today, they made a partnership with Naro. They don't pay in a day. If you pay 50%, then you will pay slowly. So it is a partnership. When you clear something, and then as individuals, you may not be able to do it. But when you are in a group, in a circle, I want to encourage all the fishermen out there to form groups.
The Director General National Agricultural Research Organization, Dr. Ambrose Agona, implored government to ensure that this technology reaches all fish dealers so that Ugandans can consume safe fish free from disease-causing carcinogens.
But you imagine if the concerns are not from out there, how about our people? And I strongly believe, much as we are coming with these few technologies that are here, We are not going to stop eating the smoked fish. But now, what must we do right? I see policy engagements, and I see a feedback by our minister to see, like, at the end of the day, in the meantime, first of all, how best can these technologies reach the target people? Because they're not just protecting them, but they're protecting the society, the whole country.
After acquiring modern fake smoking technology, fish dealers are now calling on government to connect them to export markets. Adiana Kuti, UBC.
More from the week. Security was this week tight at St. Bali Kudembe Market, popularly known as Owino Market, as the vendors exercise their right to vote new leaders that will govern the market. Now, this follows the presidential directive on markets around Kampala. These are the details.
Early this week, Kampala Capital City Authority, led by the Executive Director Dorothy Chisaka, took over leadership of Owino Market after vendors complained of harsh treatment from the old leadership that had failed to abide by the presidential directive. Police, military and the market security team were seen at all entrances and exits of the market to avoid riots during the election process. The presidential advisor on market, Susan Kushaba, has been elected as the head of the new leadership, assisted by Awan Vincent Lumansi. The two have been given the mandate to choose a committee that will govern the market for a period of 6 months. After a closed-door meeting, the leaders held a press conference, revealing the process for the victory.
Kyaddaaki tuluwangudde tuli mu ofiisi ebadde ey'akayongo be eya Sirowa nti essaawa zino erimu abakulembeze abalonde aba implementingibwa directive ya president.
Susan says their first assignment is to know the number of traders and vendors operating from the market, as well as organizing free and fair elections for the committee leaders.
Tusaba bannaffe bwe bajje mu buyiiza bakakkane buli omu akakkane ate ku mudaala gwakole embeera ebeere bulungi. Ate wonoovayo mu bw'oyagala kulwana ffe tuli majje ga ku ttaka tulwanidde emyaka 3-25 tujja kukulwanyisa naye tukusaba ekintu kimu owasiro awooli genda ku mudaala okole teri agenda kukulumba teri agenda kugoba mu katale.
The new leaders have vowed good leadership, leaving no trader and vendor lagging behind. Government vows to support all markets and urges vendors and traders to stay united. Sandra Kahunde, Wycliffe Modachi, UBC News.
Now, the Minister for Local Government, Raphael Majezi, this week appealed to leaders in cooperatives and circles to urge the youth to join working and saving groups in the fight against poverty. Now, the call seeks to change the mindset of the youth who often blame government for not helping them get out of poverty. The minister made these remarks while launching the Kampala Metropolitan Cooperative Savings and Credit Union, which encompasses 6 districts of Kampala, Wakiso, Kayunga, Mukono, and Buyikwe, among others.
Kwatesimu! For the first time in Uganda, you can pay in installments and own a smartphone instantly. Get to own the Samsung A3 Core, Samsung A01 or Samsung A11 and pay back in either daily, weekly or monthly installments for a period of a year. To check if you're eligible for the offer, dial *284*49# today. You also enjoy free 500 MB on the purchased phone every month for the entire loan repayment period. Ha! Uganda nyuma! Airtel, the smartphone network, in proud partnership with MasterCard, Samsung, and Asante Financial Services.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we're not going to leave anything on our plates, because we've learned to savor the moments that that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
And that brings us to the end of our Lunchtime Weekly Roundup edition. Thank you for joining us. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold, but allow me, before I sign out, to wish the women a happy Women's Day. You deserve it. I usually say that for every man you see walking, pass through a woman. And that's why we respect and honor you for the power and gifts God gave you. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.